Hi guys, my name is Vivian and I'd like to welcome you once again to the Art, Heart and Heart podcast. And today we are so excited that you'll be joining us. We have an amazing crew on set with me. I have the very able Pastor Lydia. I like to call her Pastor L because she's cool things like that, yeah? So wherever you are, just know you can always reach out to Pastor L and she's here with us. She's a life coach, she's a pastor, and she's an author. She's authorized. She has permission that you don't have unless you are also an author. And on my left, I have the amazing Miss Trudy. She's a content creator. And I think we'll start with you, and then Miss Trudy will also get a chance to say a little bit about herself so that our viewers can get to just feel your vibes.
Hey.
Yes.
Hi guys, so my name is Lydia and Ngina. I consider myself to be a midwife, an optimist, and also an encourager. Those are my strengths. That's what I am. I have been in the pastoral role for about 12 years now. That has been my journey. So just the love of discussing transformation from a biblical perspective. So that's all I'm about.
Awesome. And Miss Trudy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us your vibes. Let's get to know a little bit about you.
Hey guys, my name is Trudy. They call me Miss Trudy. I am a Kenyan lifestyle and travel content creator.
Fantastic. It's so good to have you guys here.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
Yeah, such a pleasure. It's always a good thing. I feel like sometimes when as ladies we come together, a different side of us always comes out because of that feminine power. Yeah. So more power to that. And y'all are looking fabulous.
You too.
Fantamagorgeous. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think one of the things I'd like us to really cover on today's podcast, the Art, Heart and Heart podcast, is identity. And more specifically, a term that is commonly used today is called imposter syndrome. Yeah. And wow. I don't know. Maybe we could start with you, Pastor L, because now you are our source of truth. To just make us understand. I mean, I think all of us have different versions of what imposter syndrome is. But, just give us that maybe direction as to what imposter syndrome sort of like defines.
I think it's a struggle for identity when you're not sure of certain of who you are, at the core of who you are. And it's a journey. It's always a journey of discovering these things. So you go into spaces and you feel like, woof, I don't belong here. Or you create content that's larger than you. Suddenly, larger than even your mindset or your, it goes, and then you now are invited into that space. You feel like, whoa, where did that come from? Because what you do and who you are. So the idea is to find out who you are and then figure out what you need to do. But sometimes they merge, and then you have to figure again, reconfigure to the place where you understand and pay. It's a journey of paying attention. You have to be intentional in discovering, okay, this is who I am. These are my strengths. So by the time I came up with this whole idea that I am an encourager, I am an optimist, I am a midwife, it's taken forever. Now it sounds easy, and that's the thing about greatness. It makes things look easy. It just looks like, you woke up and you discovered that. It's a process, it's a journey to even find language for who you really are. Find the language of this is who I am and begin to create from that space. And that's what gives your content authenticity and a signature.
Right.
A signature like, when you see a scent. Let me use an example of a scent. You went into a room, there's a specific scent. So that's a signature. Even your content has how you show up in people. That's what they want to remember and associate with you. So it's important to really dig in so that of course, there's spaces where you struggle, but, coming back and najita kabugutano.
Yes.
And say, okay, so what do I need to adjust? What do I need to align? And then, so it's that journey of figuring what I do and who I am.
Right. Fantastic. I don't know, perhaps also, Ms. Trudy, you can give us just an example of what you feel like imposter syndrome is to you, if you've had even just instances in your own life where you felt like an imposter? Is it something that you have experienced, just so that maybe, because you're very revered as a content creator, just so that maybe other content creators can get to understand if it's something that you've experienced as well. Yeah.
Well, it's something I've struggled with most of my adulthood, or rather, since I started doing YouTube. It's finding myself and finding who I am. It's a struggle because, yes, you create content, and so what? Yeah, you're putting out videos, they're getting views, but then what? And it's like, okay, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Is this it for me?
Yeah.
It's something I've struggled with so much, and I've been praying a lot. And I love Oprah so much, and I watch her a lot. And one of the things she said, it has helped me. I'm still heading there, but I'm not there yet. But she says that I am the child of God. And so anything that is possible through me. So mine begins there.
Yeah.
Just by understanding that I am the child of, He who created the whole world. And that means that anything that is possible, anything that God can do, He can do through me.
Yeah.
So for me, it has been a struggle, but that is where I start. And then from there, I try to define myself. And honestly, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
And listening to you two people talk, like, I'm learning so much. I'm like, yes, I'm taking down points.
Yeah.
You don't even understand.
Really? Okay.
You don't even, like, my mind right now is just taking down notes because you guys
Wow.
have so much wisdom,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
But also I love what you've said, because you're a child of God. And even as Pastor El was talking, and just what you've said, what came to mind is the power of God to multiply the little you have. Yeah. If you look at the instance, was it 5 fish or 2 loaves? I can't remember the instance. How many fish?
Bible school,
2
when
fish.
Sunday school, you missed that.
How many was it? My daughter keeps reminding, Mom, it's anyway. How many fish were
I think
there?
it was 2 fish.
Two
and
fish.
5 loaves, yeah.
2 fish. Kuna mwenye anawacha koka mimi. 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. And the capacity to how that was multiplied. And there was abundance that came out of that fed 5,000 people.
Yeah.
And the concept of taking the little, that boy, when he was leaving home and that's all he had, he didn't know. And it was an act of surrender as well, because he gave it. Yeah. And of course, Jesus, in his miracle doing works, multiplied that. So I think that's also the element of the same thing you're talking about. Like, the little you have is not that little. When you give it to God, He's able to.
And that's the thing, as sometimes we forget, that capacity to multiply is in God, but you have the responsibility to nurture the little that you have. The problem is our little, sometimes we despise it. We ignore it. We don't think it's much. We don't pay attention to it. And so I like that perspective, because when you begin to think that if God can do anything, He can do through me, it helps you even manage, steward the little things you have. So for me, I've understood now, faithfulness is not just a character trait. It's actually a discipline. You have to be faithful with your gift, faithful with your relationships, faithful. It's a discipline. It's a muscle that you grow because you understand you are responsible for the little things. I'm not here. I mean, it's taken forever. It's taken almost 12 years to get to this point of being so articulate and being able to understand. But it's been a journey of being faithful with the little. The ideas that I've stuck with. Even with the book, it's taken 6 years to write this book.
Wow. 6
years to write this book, but it began as an idea in my heart space. It began as an idea in my mind. So I sat down and I jotted down. Then, it stayed. I just said, okay, fine. And then again, I think even for here, I just decided I'm not writing anymore because there's nothing more. And then when I wanted to launch it, it wasn't ready, because now I realized I was actually writing my own journey of transformation, what that looks like from a biblical perspective. What is this salvation? Why must I get saved? And what does it mean? Does it have impact in the physical world in terms of trade and commerce? And even our culture, present culture, is there relevance in that? So this has been a journey. So the whole idea, yes, God has power to transform, and to multiply. We can't ignore that, but we also have a responsibility to be disciplined in faithfulness, stewarding holding on to a gift, honing your skill set, you know. As a musician, you know, you're gifted, but if you're just gifted in singing, you don't practice your voice. And then there are many other disciplines along that, you know, there are many other disciplines, timekeeping, keeping your word, all these things that we've been talking about, you know. So it's discipline. I mean, faithfulness is actually a muscle and a discipline that needs to be stretched. And
Wow, that's deep stuff, style, man. And maybe just to also come back to you, Miss Trudy, your journey of content creation, when did you start it, and also what compelled you to become a content creator?
So I started my content creation journey this is my 4th year on YouTube. And I used to do promotions in the supermarket. You know, in Kenya, when there's no jobs, you know. So, there were no jobs. I finished campus, and it's like, okay, Ceazar, what do I do? You know, you want to make your own money. You know, you can't just stay home. And I picked up promotions. For those who don't know, promotions are these jobs where you stand in the supermarket from morning till evening, selling a product. You know, like, hey, you know, this is Omo. Tough on stains, soft on your hands, please buy. Some would like be like, so others will be like, okay, you know, like you get different people, different moods. It was really crazy. And as I was standing in the supermarket, I used to feel like my life has a lot more to offer. Like, this can't be it. There's no way you'll tell me I am born, I go to school, I do promotions, I get married and die. You know? Like, God must... Seriously, like
that's a sad life, though.
God must have a bigger
That's
plan
a
for me.
heartbreaking summary.
You know, like, God must have a bigger plan for me. And it's like, what did God create me to do? Like, God, what is it that you have in mind for me? Like, just show me. Like, I always felt like I have more to offer, but I didn't know how to start. I didn't know how to go about it. In my mind, I was like, I have promotions to do. And then, you know, promotions would last like a month or two. And then you'd go hustle again for another one. And I was like, oh man, you know, after promotions, there's these people who are called merchandisers. Then they come to the supermarket, arrange things in order, and then they go. So I used to be like, wow, if I can just be a merchandiser, I don't have
goals.
I don't have to stand from morning till evening. And you're told, don't let us find you leaning. At least you may choke on my leaning. Stand straight. Lunch, 30 minutes break. 30 minutes break and you come back. So it was so hard.
But what are some of the lessons you picked from that experience?
Well, now when I look back, I learned. So I think God was preparing me for what I'm doing now.
There we go.
But he was doing it in a different way that I didn't see. Because, you know, I did it for like 3 years. My legs started swelling, you know. I was like, because of standing all the time. And just when I was getting promoted, like the owner of the company came, saw me, and he was so impressed. And he told me, yo, you need to get a promotion. Because I sold to him without knowing he's the one. And it blew his mind. So I'm like, God, finally my prayers are answered. I haven't told you guys that I used to introduce my friends to promotions. Some of them will tell me, I'd rather stay home. I stand the whole day and get paid 3 so a day. As he's selling a product.
You know, it's funny when you say that, because when I got to know about Miss Trudy, a friend of mine from the US is the one who told me about the travel. And he was like, there's this girl, she does very good reviews of the country and all these things. And that's how you can imagine I got to know you, not from a Kenyan, from a friend who lives, and he's American, but he loves Kenya. He was actually dating a Kenyan at that time, and he's the one who told me. And so when I hear you talking about promotions, funny thing is I also did promotions. When I finished school, and I did maybe for like a year or so. Me, I think also I'm called Wambui. So no besha. Dia. Me, actually, I was never embarrassed. Me, I was just happy with my 350. 50 bob yangu nakula mahindi whatever on the road. 300 niko tu sawa, yani naenda Ngara na buy viatu. Like, I was okay, right? But then, like what you're talking about, also trying to think about where do I want my life to go beyond that. So, and it's good because when she talks, it's like there's a dream that we all of us, and sometimes we suppress it. Because we feel like we are not enough. You know, we feel like we don't belong, right? And as you said, it's a muscle. So you constantly, because even now, I don't know, Miss Trudy can give her experience and you can share yours as well. But even now for me as Vivian, and I still get recognized a lot, and sometimes I forget. Mi niko tu super, nashindwa, Vivian, I'm like, oh, right, you know? And it's like, because sometimes life gets the best of you because you're still human.
Yeah.
And that's how God uses gifts. Like he'll use your gift to package you and to make you into someone that the society will celebrate. But that doesn't mean you won't have personal challenges and go through things. Yeah. So in light of that, even like when I did one of my first biggest performances, I performed to an audience of 10,000 people in LD. And I remember I was with Sam at the back. And I didn't know. For me, I was just like, okay, I know there are people. Nili angalia even kasema, today is the day. Today is the day I die. And I remember Sedo, I don't know, I am sure guys know Sedo, Cedric Kadenyi. He is a music producer. And he was the music director. And he told me, Vivian, you got this. I was like, what? And Sam said, he had even prepped, so there was a countdown. So there's a countdown for people to see Vivian. Ile imposter syndrome ilikuwa hapo, ilikuja na wave, ilikuwa kama Indian Ocean. Unajua? But I did it. Nonetheless, I think the performance is even on YouTube on Safaricom's page. So I did it, and and that's the thing. Sometimes we need people to see us.
Yes.
Because the people around me saw me, but at that time, I didn't have capacity. But sometimes they're not always there to see us. Yeah. So you also have to build so that you see yourself, and it's a muscle. You have to, you know. So the thing about imposter syndrome, and this is something I just wanted to ask you, have you ever felt like maybe in your journey of content creation that maybe you're not enough, or you know, maybe around you people are like, kuna mwingine anaingia saa hii, uliona nani, you know, people trying to make you feel small, because as I was sharing, like in my own journey, of course unaambiwa hey saa hivi Vivian umeisha, saa hii umeisha, hata ile song yako ni ya kitambo hiyo, saa hii kuna dem fulani, you know. And that vibe, that comparison, and how that affects, I don't know, there's a way it's affected the entertainment music industry, but I don't know what it does for because I think content creation is a full industry.
Yeah, I think it's good you've brought that up, because I can totally relate to what you're saying. First of all, when I was starting content creation, I really didn't feel like I have what it takes, because like you go online, you see really pretty girls and you're just there. Yani girls can do their makeup and they look so hot, and me, I'm nekwa. And then you see girls are from rich families. Me, I'm from an okay family. It's just okay, you know. So you see girls doing things and you're like, what? Where are they getting the money? How are they looking so hot? Sasa me, how do I even measure up? How dare I even try? Like, just stop this thing you think you're doing, you know. Find something else to do. So that's something I struggled with. I kind of overcame that. But now what I struggle with is just my identity, you know. So like, who am I, you know? What's my purpose? Because now, as you know, there's so many content creators who've come up, and it's like, why are you creating content? You know, what's the aim? What was God's plan for you, and are you in line with it? So it's just that's my struggle.
Oh wow. I don't know, Pastor El, because I think from what Miss Trudy has shared, I feel like that's a very common space. It's just that she's in the content creation industry, but there could be someone in banking, in the creative arts, just someone doing their thing, and they feel like, hey, apastushimboga.
Yeah.
So what causes that, and maybe what are some of the effective ways to overcome that?
So one of the things is, again, our society, how we build constant comparison to so and such a family, So you're constantly trying to live to their standards so that you achieve this thing and feel like you're enough, you know, finally. But that's a lie. You will never get to that place. It comes from, because the Bible says godliness and contentment is of great gain. So there's that place where you are content with what you have, psychologically, spiritually, but also just even financially, just sitting and being content in what you have. So the thing that keeps you, can get you on a ripple effect, is that whole idea of seeking that, if I get a car, if I get married, if I
The
get the children, the
external
external,
validation.
yes, exactly. Hey, Sawa. The external validation is what then messes you up. As opposed to sitting and being content with the phase, because life is lived in phases, yo.
Oh, yeah,
Life is lived in phases. So there's a phase, like you mentioned, there's a phase where you are this promotion, you are doing the promotion space. Now that phase is done. Now you're in this other phase now. Now we're in this phase as well. This is a new space that we've entered into.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So life is lived in phases. And so when you understand the phase you're in, settle in it, accept it, understand the priorities of that phase.
Right.
What are the priorities right now in my life?
Right.
So once you figure out the priorities in that phase, then it helps you steward, so to speak, and manage that season in your life.
Right.
As opposed to just waiting on the Lord. Waiting on, I don't know, just zooming and time is going. And so then again, you end up having internal frustrations as well.
Right.
And that's the worst, I think, when you're eternally, that internal war, the internal conflict is just... it can make you go bananas.
Yeah, I think the best thing I like about this discussion also, we are all at different levels of life, and so we are also able to see and speak into each other, which I think is fantastic, because Miss Trudy is in her 20s, I am in my 30s, and you are in your 40s. So there's a dynamic there that comes into play, right? And that's the thing about maybe what's happening in the times we are living in. Sometimes we undermine mentorship because you feel like you can Google anything. But in essence, also because I'm also in a transition period, even doing this podcast. It took a lot of just saying, let's do it, but ideally, when you're known for one thing and you're trying to get into another thing, you feel like you're being pressed down.
Yeah.
And for me, what I've learned on my journey is to be independent of my external factors. And it might sound like mtu haezi elewa, but I had to do that, and I have to push that muscle, and it takes time, because sometimes I'm doing this, but I'm feeling this.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing what I'm feeling. I'm doing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And from what you were talking about, and from what I've just shared in regards to thinking a certain way, feeling a certain way, but choosing to do something completely different, I think that also helps us transition into new spaces. As Pastor El was talking about, when you are moving from that space of doing the promotion and now getting into a space where you're creating content, and the journey is still continuing, because right now you are at the space where you're wondering, what is my purpose? As a content creator, okay, I create content. Okay, there are other content creators. What defines me? What makes me unique? And I don't know, in that space and area of exploration, as you're trying to figure that out, I don't know if you found leads that help you direct you to your purpose, right? It's like how I asked you in the beginning, what made you start content creation? Yeah, so you were like, I don't know how you answered it, but that space can also help guide your purpose. So I don't know if there are things maybe that you try and do to just ensure that you align with what makes you Trudy, because I think everyone starts things for different things. Like you see, like for music, a lot of people will, when people are DMing me, many people really want to be famous, and that bogs my mind, right? Because when I started my music journey, fame was the last thing in my mind. In fact, my first song was an inspirational song, and I remember literally begging my producer to do that song, because it was not commercial enough. I was singing in English and all these things, and then I had to I never wanted to become famous. I would say it's a byproduct. I just wanted to make music, and I wanted to do it excellently. And of course, there's always a reason for something. So in your own journey, Miss Trudy, maybe you can tell us things that you feel lead you more towards your purpose in the area of content creation.
Well, here's the thing. That's why I'm so glad I met up with you guys today, because you were earlier on talking about our lives and how, for me, I was saying I was such an average student.
Yes.
And I really didn't like it. Because, there are students who are average because they don't read.
Yeah.
No, me, I used to be the one who reads. Yes, I used to read. But still, I'm going to be so average. And I really despised that. So after that, I was like, I have to be good at something. As God must have put something in me that's really, really good. So when I found content creation, I just wanted to be the best content creator. I just want to be the best. That's it. That's all that has been on my mind.
Yeah.
But then now I'm discovering best in what. It's not about me. It's about what God wants to do through me.
Oof.
And now that I'm trying to surrender to God, it's not been easy, but I've got to, because I don't even know what I'm doing with myself. I'm just creating content. And that's why you feel so empty at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You might get the views, but then it's like, so what? As in, I just want God to use me to be who he wants me to be. And I feel when he does that, I'll be so fulfilled.
Yeah.
And perhaps when she said that, what I felt is that there's something called personal fulfillment. And perhaps what are the things that give us fulfillment? Because I've had also people who are excelling in their areas talking about, I just felt like it was just empty. I just felt, what brings that emptiness, and maybe what can help us get fulfillment?
So the whole idea, we were created for meaning. And we are constantly seeking meaning in our relationships, meaning in our money, meaning in our children, and sometimes we define those spaces. So meaning, personal fulfillment comes from the place of personal growth as well. As you grow into really who you are, not necessarily external acquisition, because sometimes you can be so consumed, that part of ambition. So there's that place where you're ambitious and your ambition drives you and you acquire stuff. But then when you acquire stuff, it's left like, what was that? But the idea is to progressively, continually growing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even financially. So when you're ambitious, you're only focused on one area. Say to speak, if you're a chef, you're completely driven to be the best, and you get to the best and you forget you didn't work on your relationships, you didn't invest, you didn't do this, because that's the life is a juggle. We are juggling many balls and in any given season. So the idea is to allow yourself to pace yourself, number one, because I know we are that generation where we want marathon things. We want things today. You want to be a millionaire today, like, okay, it's always a process. So life is a process on its own. Life is a process and every season is a process. So it's to understand the process and embrace it and allow yourself to grow in that space. And then listen to that inner voice. The Holy Spirit is always on the inside of you. He's constantly directing. In fact, he's more willing. He's open he speaks to us more than we pay attention to him.
Right.
So it's also the discipline again of meditation and sitting and hearing what is going on the inside, what's going on really. So that I would say growth and meaning. Just finding meaning in life,
like all the things you're saying are making a lot of sense, but I'm looking at the world we're living in. We're in a very distracted world. Like if you look at your phone, you're checking WhatsApp, there's a new notification, someone is calling, you're on Facebook, there's Instagram, there's so many things. So by the time you are doing meditation, I think your resolve needs to be really high,
absolutely.
right? Because it's like you're ready to take yourself apart from the things that are emotion. There's FOMO. You don't want to look like you don't know what's going on, and you're trying to keep up with everything. And I feel like it makes a lot of sense in theory. But as a generation, especially with this culture whereby you're scrolling on IG, so you're seeing someone just got married, another one just got a baby, another one just got a car,
and it's all coming to you,
and then you absorb
when do
like the information inakuta tu ngumi ni vile tu sasa, it's information that's coming so maybe some of the practices, for me, I have my own practices that I've forced myself to kind of get into, so even as
what are some of them? Would you mind sharing?
So for me, some of my practices is in the morning, I don't check social media.
There we go.
Right? So because I read a statement somewhere that kama ni kitambo, if you woke up in the morning and you had 100 people in your bedroom, so you're opening your social media, so you've checked 100 people. What does that do to your mind? The world might have advanced, but our minds are still the same. We're still simple creatures. So that's number one. Then also I live in the village.
Yeah.
So I go outside, I breathe in fresh air, I do my stretches, I do my morning workouts, and then now that's when I get to my office. My office is right outside a window, and so those practices and that's sitting with myself.
Yeah.
I've learned to sit still. Something I was very bad at because my life as a musician is very fast paced. So I've had to also learn to say no.
Yes.
Even when it involves money or whatever. And it's sometimes you feel pain. You're like, oh, nitasota watu watanichekelea, nitaanza kuchangiwa.
That's extreme, but yes.
You know, but those are thoughts from the enemy trying to show me that it's like I'm defined by there's what I do and then there's who I am.
Yes.
So music is a gift. It's what I do, it's what has led to this space. And it's what leads to many other spaces, makes people feel like they can easily talk to me and such things. But for sure, it's a practice. And I don't pass every day. There are days I feel miserable. I wake up and I get on Instagram. Look at Instagram. People are living, and I get so depressed about it. But I show myself a lot of compassion.
Yes.
Sometimes I also am trying to negate the busy culture. Like I have to do in order to be worthy. No, the fact that I exist. So that is my ritual. And I don't know, as we summarize, maybe Miss Trudy, you can tell us maybe things maybe that we can hold. We are your accountability systems. Things that maybe you think you can do differently moving forward in regards to maybe living healthier, driving more towards your purpose and doing things for a reason. And also even just feeling like maybe there's something you've always felt in your heart you want to do, but you've been afraid. Now I'm a content creator. Can I do this? Will I be? How will this look? And all these things. And what we were talking about earlier, doing things for people as opposed to doing them to please God. There's that, because we're all caught up in that. So maybe you could share that as your closing remarks.
Well, I feel like we need to just put God first, because eventually I realize as human beings, you can get so busy. Just the other day, my dad read a verse in the Bible. Not that I had never heard that verse, just that I forgot about it. Because honestly, my reading the Bible, I've not been reading it as much as I should. So my dad read a verse for us, and it says, unless God builds a house, the builders build in vain. Unless God watches over a town, the watchmen stay up in vain. So I just feel like God needs to be first, because if we do things by our own strength, it's going to be so hard, number one. Number two, even if you get what you want, you're still going to be so empty. I'm realizing, tell me if I'm wrong, but it needs to start with God. And it's not like we're being too holy at there's that thing at that's how when you talk about God now, you're being too holy. It's just a fact. Like without God, you're gonna be so empty. That's just it for me. Maybe that's where I am right now. So that's what,
you're doing well. You're on the right path. I think, as you mentioned, we are in that space of major distraction. I don't think there's even any other generation that has had such a distraction as we are. So there's a need for intentional living. Be very intentional and self-discipline. Intentional in how you spend your time and who you spend your time with. In terms of even not just people, but also content. What are you consuming? Because intentional life is for you. There's that intentionality you have to, because you have to break away from the noises, so to speak. Rise above the noises of our day, the noises of everyone who has an opinion, and a good discipline would be that, not to check your nini on the fast when you wake up fasting in the morning. Don't check just sit fast and rethink the idea of meditation and reflection and contemplation. Think, what am I doing? Put process into it, because again, because of the information, we are not thinking, we're not using our minds, because now we are almost being automated. You're becoming machines, and we have very few thinkers. So pull and think, contemplate, reflect, and that means taking time outside of the noise and sitting with yourself and thinking, what am I doing? What is my motive? What are my intentions? And it's a muscle as well you grow. It's not that you wake up it's a muscle you grow, and a lifestyle that you integrate into your lifestyle. You integrate it into your lifestyle as part of who you are, and then what you do now springs from that, and people can feel the signature. When there's purity in your content, the people are able to feel the energy. They feel the energy. They pick the energy. So
fantastic. Whoa, Miss Trudy and Pastor L, that was some deep stuff. We were talking about imposter syndrome, but as you can see, that topic, it etches a lot on identity. So wherever you're watching from, I think one of the things that I would say as the last take home is you are worthy and you are enough, and not because you do, or because you're busy, or because you're I don't know what, lifestyle coach, whatever you are. Even for us with the titles that we have, we are worthy because we are children of God. And I think that's where we're going to end this. So thank you for watching, and keep it tuned to the Art, Heart, and Heart podcast. Bye.
Bye.